Hi guys, my fellow book besties. Welcome back to my channel. This month, I feel like it was finally time that I go back into my monthly wrap-ups. With that being said, in September, I read in total of 11 books, a very interesting variety, mostly containing romance and fantasy, obviously. But I also kind of tried a couple new genres this month, so let's talk about it. Starting off strong, the first book that I read was Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole. This book was the first book that I read in a 24-hour challenge video that I did, and I honestly had so much fun. It had been months since I read the first book because Assistant to the Villain was the first book that I read this year, so it's been a while since I've been inside this world, but as soon as I started reading, it was like I never left. I enjoyed every bit of this. Honestly, I loved the character development that we were getting with a lot of the characters. If you haven't touched Assistant to the Villain, definitely suggest that you should. It was an amazing read. Very easy, cozy read, especially for fall. It was giving great fall vibes, and the fact that it's already October is kind of crazy, but I definitely suggest going into this book. I did give it 4 stars. I don't know why, but I gave it 4.25 stars. I really did enjoy it, but there's just something that doesn't give me that feeling, that clenching feeling, you know what I mean? But the writing is always so easy. I feel like the things that we went through in this book was just amazing, and honestly, I cannot wait for the next book. After that, since I was doing a challenge, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. If you haven't touched this book, please, if you haven't touched this book, you need to touch this book. Please read this book because it will forever have my heart. Forever and always. Like, I want every single copy that she can offer for this book. Like, you have no idea how much money I will put into this book. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I ate it up. I was eating it like spaghetti, bro. It was so good. I loved every part of this. And the fact that it was like her senior year and she was going through the endings of that, I loved it because if you didn't know, I'm a senior. And just seeing this, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I loved every second of it. I realized how many rom-coms that I need to watch since reading this book. I have so many tabs and quotes. That Penny quote, oh my gosh, I can't. I love this book. Wes and Liz live rent-free in my brain, and I feel like they will always do that. They will always be there, okay? 5-star read. 6-star read. I highly suggest this book. And Lynn Painter, her writing is so easy. I mean, it was so emotional and yet so lighthearted at the same time. I loved every second of it. It was so good. I also started reading 1.1 to 1.3 for Wes's POV throughout some of the chapters of the book. If you didn't know, there's 0.5 through 1.7, so I'm just gonna count all of those books as one because they're really just chapters, and I think the biggest pages there are is like 25 pages, and they're all PDFs, so I'm just counting it as one book. So I did start 1.1 through 1.3, so that's kind of just all going into one book, no matter if I end up mentioning me finishing all of them in my next wrap-up. But yeah. The next book I read was Twisted Love by Ana Huang. Again, I'm genuinely, like, you don't understand, I'm genuinely shocked on how much I loved this book. Because when I was going into this book, I was going into it just expecting a regular romance, a regular brother's best friend type of romance. I went out with so much more. So much more. I was so not expecting the emotional, like, attachment that I would be getting with some of these characters, and the fact that it's a series is just so much better. I enjoyed every part of this book. The quotes that I have were just amazing. I did feel like there were some things I wish Ana Huang would have done differently, just because I feel like we focused more on Ava rather than Alex, on like their trauma that they were going through and how they were trying to help each other with it. And I feel like towards Alex, we weren't getting his support. Like, I feel like Ava could have supported Alex more, and I wish we would have gotten more from that. But other than that, I really did enjoy this book. I did give it 4.5 stars. I liked it a lot. After I read that, I ended up reading Twisted Games, the next book. I don't know what I expected, especially going into this right after the first book. I kind of didn't realize how much of a timeline that we were going through before we were really going into her character, but the character development that we got from our main character was amazing. Bridget is low-key one of my favorite characters. I mean, I've only read the first 2 books, but Bridget, I like it. Let's talk about how much this gave me such, what's the word I'm looking for? Deja vu. Because this reminds me so much of The Princess Diaries by, like, from Disney with Anne Hathaway and the woman from The Sound of Music. I forgot her name. Anyways, the fact that it reminded me so much of the first and second movies of Princess Diaries, it was so good. I loved it, and the fact that it reminded me so much of that, and the way that Reese and Bridget are together, I loved every second of how everything was building up. Honestly, I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would, especially since in the beginning I felt like I wasn't really enjoying it that much because I was really just focusing on Bridget. And wow, DJ Breathe. Oh my gosh. I definitely do suggest reading this book, even if you have gotten conflicted feelings towards it, especially with so many other people's opinions, because trust, I was in your shoes, but I definitely suggest jumping into it yourself, and maybe you'll be like me and just come out with so much more. Okay, 5 stars. I'm saying this and I'm like 4.755 stars, but low-key, they live rent-free in my brain. Okay, I was kind of getting ahead of myself, but those are some of the physical books that I read. Let's go into digital books that I read, because don't get me wrong, I'm a physical book girly. Like, I need to be able to hold my book, but I did get Kindle Unlimited on my phone and my iPad, so I'm definitely abusing that. I did start The Magician's Secret and finish, obviously, by Charles Townsend. This was me trying out a different genre or a different type of fantasy, I guess historical fantasy. It was just about this guy named Delvin. He keeps on getting like framed for stuff that he hasn't even done, and his late friend who was a magician gave him this stone, and because of that he's been being hunted down because the magicians are trying to collect that stone for themselves, and it's all in the middle of a war that they're trying to like stop. So it was a lot, and I feel like I was detached from most of the book. It was still very enjoyable, and I did give it 3 stars. After I read Twisted Games, I ended up reading and listening to, because I started listening to it, then I downloaded it on my Kindle Unlimited app, Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and honestly, I loved it. I loved it. I know it's like a YA thriller mystery, and I love YA thriller mysteries. I love them. Okay, I love them, and I honestly enjoyed every second of the book. I was just painting while listening to it and just swiping on my iPad, and it was just so much fun. It was really fun. I loved the characters, I love the story, and it leaves you off on a cliffhanger, and I definitely need to continue the series because it was really good. After that, I read Opaque by Calix Le Ren. I don't really know how to say that, but it's a duology, I'm pretty sure, of this guy named Adam and Carly. It's about this 16-year-old boy who's figuring out different changes, trying to figure out why his body is going through good and evil, and basically being influenced by his mind and the powers that he's starting to obtain, but he's still trying to figure them out. And then Carly comes in and she has these powers as well. When she turns 16 herself, they end up kind of connecting because their cores link up together. It has like very found family set in the modern world from when it was published. I had a good time. I thought it was really good. It was fun, and honestly I would suggest it for anyone who likes YA fantasy or is trying to get into fantasy. It was very easy to read. The writing was so easy. I would definitely continue the series. The ending was kind of hard to picture but described very well. Maybe it was just me, but that's what I was feeling when I was reading that ending. I definitely think that it was a good book, and the magical elements in the story was very interesting and so easy to follow. So I would definitely recommend this book. The next book I read was The Housemaid by Frida McFarlane, another mystery thriller book. I don't know if it's YA. I couldn't tell you, but it was really easy. I came into this book knowing nothing, just knowing that it was very popular. I was just kind of going through the motions. I knew nothing about what it was about, so I just figured it out along the way. We're following our main character. She just got out of parole, and she's really just trying to find a life for herself, really trying to get back to the rhythm of being out and trying to make money, find her own apartment and stuff like that. So she ends up being a maid for this family who pays her really well. A lot of things happen after that. I definitely will say that getting the boss's POV, it changed everything. I was trying to figure it out, but also just kind of liking how everything was going with how she was taking us through it. I thought her writing was very easy and I had a good time. After that, I read The Princess Trials by Cordelia K. Castell. I had never heard of it until I had come across of it on Kindle Unlimited. Honestly, I thought it was really interesting. Once it said that it was something like The Hunger Games, I pressed on it so quickly. Honestly, loved the book. I had so much fun. I thought the world building was really easy to follow. It was gradually throughout the book, especially since it was the first book. We were still learning as we were going on. It definitely did give off The Hunger Games, but quickly it became its own book. I thought it was so much fun. One thing I did complain about constantly while reading this book was how long the chapters were. I spent at least 20 minutes on each chapter. If you don't know, I'm not the fastest reader, okay? I'm dyslexic, so of course I'm gonna read a little slower, but 20 minutes? I spent 30 minutes one time on one chapter. Like, that's crazy. I think there was just moments where I was just like, okay, how are we not ending the chapter yet? How are we not moving on? You know what I mean? I still thoroughly enjoyed it. Reese, I don't like him. He wasn't even in the book, but I just don't like him. She's just really trying to figure out herself and figure out if she's going to stay true to the people that she's now friends with or her people, as in trying to help the revolution. It's the whole reason why she joins the Princess Trials, and she's really conflicted with a lot of the feelings that she starts getting towards the end of the book. Last but not least, I have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This book, everything that anyone has ever told you or you've ever seen about this book is true. This book is so good. It's such a fast read. The fall vibes that you were getting in this book is just, it was amazing. I was loving it. We're following our main character, Cassie. She's someone who has gone through a lot since she was a child, and she is not normal. The Naturals is a program that the FBI has created for kids whose brains work differently. I love how each of them have their own dynamic or own moral to them, or for themselves, and I love that they don't change despite their other surroundings. And I love how everything kind of adds up together. The ending was crazy. I did hear that this was a lot like Criminal Minds, so the fact that I read this and I enjoyed it so much, I really think I should definitely start watching the series. I gave this 4.5 stars. With that being said, those were the 11 books that I read this month. I can't complain. I had a lot of fun. I'm surprised that I read so much because I'm pretty sure that's the most books that I've ever read in any month, because I started reading officially in January. With that being said, I'm so happy you guys watched, and I hope you guys like the suggestions that I gave you. And if you have any other books that I should try out or you think I would love, especially since I'm a big fantasy girly, please let me know. And I hope you guys had fun. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!